Thanks for tuning in to Jets FM on the OFN as we get ready for week one in the NFL for the New York Jets. It's been an exciting offseason, but aren't we all sick of winning the offseason? Thanks for tuning in to this midweek report. Jan Levine will be joining me again at some point, hopefully right after the Jet game against the Ravens. Not sure exactly when, but it should be within a few hours after the game. Worst case scenario, we'll definitely be doing post game reports no later than Monday, but most of them should be on Sunday, a few hours after every game, including this Sunday. I'm not sure if even Jan's going to the game. If Jan's at the game, even better. We'll be able to talk to him after the game on the field. Well, not on the Met Field grounds, but around the field, and be fans there. Should be pretty entertaining, especially if they win. Okay, let's talk about why we're even doing this report on this specific day at this specific time, because I'm getting just I'm getting real frustrated, and no, it's not for the reasons you believe. I'm getting, and for people who have been with us for many years, I think you know why I'm getting frustrated. This negativity, even when there's optimism around. And negativity is something that we're used to. Okay, and I get it. I really do, but I'm getting really tired. Especially when you zero in, whether it's social media, but especially with announcers, guys that have their own talk shows who happen to be Jet fans. Mask as Jet fans. And I'm not saying they're not Jet fans, but the way, see, just because you have a talk show doesn't mean you're at a specific level of a Jet fan. You're just another Jet fan, okay? But you just happen to have a microphone where you can reach thousands of people. And I'm talking about Rich Eisen, and I'm talking about Greenberg. Eisen and Greenberg. Now, Eisen's a little bit better. Greenberg is just a little whiny little sissy. That's Greenberg. I'm so sick of Greenberg. Just like I'm sick of ESPN in general. But Greenberg is sickening. He's just a whiny little Jet fan. He's an embarrassment to Jet fans. He just really is. Now, we all got the bad news about Zach Wilson. We all did. And I know that there is a fan base, a percentage of Jet fans that are just sick and tired of it all. And I completely get it. I really do. And I know a lot of those fans, most of them don't watch this show. I get that. Because if they did, they'd have a little bit more optimism. Because we've always tried to be not just optimistic, but we've tried to be as honest and unbiased as always. And we've proven that over the years. You know, for a lot of the new viewers who haven't been with us for years, we were very critical of the Jets the very last time they nearly made the playoffs. That playoff run with Ryan Fitzpatrick, we were completely against. We were completely against it all. And there were a lot of Jet fans optimistic about maybe we can go to the playoffs and playoffs this and playoffs that. I wasn't one of them. Because I knew exactly what was going on. All of it was just smoke and clouds, or smoke, clouds, whatever you want to call it. It was hiding the fact that they were over the hill. They were just trying to patch things up for one more potential run, just trying to get some good feeling with the organization of getting into the playoffs. And, you know, hey, look at us. And it was a disaster. The whole Ryan Fitzpatrick, the whole thing with Geno Smith, and I'm not even going to go all the way back to Mark Sanchez and Rex Ryan, but I'm just talking about that last chance that we had to actually sniff a postseason. And it was done the wrong way. And that was my point is that, I'm not going to bash the team to bash the team, which a lot of guys are going to do. And I'm definitely not going to praise them to praise them. But one of the things I'm always going to do, if it's justified, which it has been for several years now, is be behind this team that Joe Douglas has put together. I have not wavered. You know that. I have not wavered once. I think there was maybe a time or two where I was like, well, I kind of feel like I'm about, maybe 90% now. I forget specifically when that was, but I've always been all in on Joe Douglas. From the minute that Joe Douglas was named the general manager to uh, reinsure that he was the right guy when he hired Robert Saleh, who is the right guy. There are now, and I'm not just also saying Jet fans. This is not just about Jet fans. This is about the national media. The national media is ridiculous and dumb, and they find any way, any little bump in the road with this organization they want to trash, and it's the worst thing in the world, and they got to rebuild, and they got to fire this guy, and they got to draft quarterbacks again, and it's just to a point again where I'm frustrated. It's just getting to me, and part of the reason it's getting to me is because I know it's going to be successful. Okay, so I know. See, I've had this course with Joe Douglas. That's the pretty much steady course with Joe Douglas of the faith that he is going to be the guy to lead us back to championship caliber football. Same thing. Hired Robert Saleh, even better. I mean, I am headed on that course. And there'll be some bad days and there'll be some good days. We've had a lot more bad days, but it doesn't matter. I am completely bought in and sold. I have been around this team, following this team, and we've been covering this team in different formats for the past 25 years. Whether it was radio, whether it was website, and that includes, of course, Our Lads, the Our Lads Football Network, or YouTube. 25 years now, give or take, nonstop. And then let's go back another, 15 years before that of just being a fan. And I put him on Instagram, and I'm actually going to be getting rid of my Instagram account. So, I mean, maybe the only reason I might think of keeping the Instagram account is for photos, but I just hate my Instagram. It's just so hard. It doesn't agree with me. You know, there's so many, they don't want to do this for me, and they don't want to, I just hate it. You post videos, and as long as you have a certain amount of time, and I posted videos, and they don't come up. You set a certain size for your profile picture, and you put it in there, and it doesn't come up. But it is the one place where I can post pictures. But I will say that I am going to come up with another way of doing that here on the channel anyway. I can just find a way to post the pictures. We'll put something together, and I'm getting rid of Instagram. The reason I brought that up is because I have a lot of cool pictures back when I was covering the team when I was really young. Back in the late 20s, I think it was late 20s, covering the team down in South Florida. And I even traveled up while I was working, actually, with the team to cover the team in New York for a few days. But mostly it was when I was living in South Florida, whenever the Jets came and played the Dolphins. So I have so many good memories, great pictures. I've got a Bill Belichick picture when he was with the Jets on the field, and Curtis Martin. I got so much great stuff. Anyway, the point is, I've been doing this a long time, and I just referenced the Ryan Fitzpatrick near playoff year, where I was critical. So I can be critical when I believe it's time to be critical, but I also have been optimistic when I think it's time to be optimistic, and that's where I am right now. Matter of fact, go back to that year when Ryan Fitzpatrick almost led them to the playoffs. Go back to that year, and I bet you if you find recordings, the same guys, especially Greenberg, that year, and I remember it because I talked about it. Matter of fact, you can go to the ourlads.com website, and if you go, let me see if I can put it up here right now. I got a whole bunch of stuff I want to start putting together. Okay, so first I've got this. I've got the here. If you ever on Our Lads, yeah, you see this OFN? That's Our Lads Football Network. So if you click that and you come all the way down here, you see all this here? Okay, look at that, 51. That's how many pages there are. Most of these, okay? These are all the shows. Here's our Jets show here. Click that, you get the Jets show. Okay. Most of these are shows. 95% are shows. And 51 pages. So you can find, I'm pretty positive, you can find us talking about that year on this website. Okay, on this library here. So the point is Let me just go ahead and might as well while I'm talking, see how easy it is on our lads to get the Jets depth chart up there, get this ad out of the way. Okay, so the point is that if you check back those years, that specific year, I guarantee you all the sort of kind of positive, hey man, this is a great chance to go to the playoffs. Trying to like actually this, what? I mean, I wasn't rooting against them. I wasn't sitting there going, man, I hope they lose. But it's like, don't you even know your own team? Don't you know this is not right. This isn't, what are you getting excited about? This isn't going to lead to anything. And I bring this also up because of the whole reason why I'm upset is that you either have trust in Joe Douglas or you don't. And anybody out there, this is obviously my opinion, anybody out there that has these kind of, oh, he's me, he's a Jet fan, and crying and complaining and all this kind of stuff, doesn't have faith in Joe Douglas. And if you don't, well, I feel sorry for you. And again, chances are you don't watch this show. I have faith in Joe Douglas. It's like he's the higher power of the New York Jets. So for anybody out there that's religious, I'm Catholic, so let's say, I have complete faith in Jesus, complete faith in God. You know what it is to have complete faith in God or Jesus or in your religion. You know what it is like. That's it. I have faith. So no matter what happens, I have faith. Okay? That's how I feel about Joe Douglas. I'm not putting Joe Douglas, of course, into any religious context, but my point is that I have faith. Joe Douglas, at some point, all of the bad days and the bad weeks that are still going to come, the good ones that are still going to come too. And my friends, there are going to be a lot more good ones and bad ones. That's the great part about it. See, I'm still psyched and ready for the season. None of this stuff puts me down. Jan Levine actually texted me today to let me know because he's really good about that because he knows I'm always busy doing a million different things. And he texted me and Wayne Brown, shoulder injury. And I texted him back, dude, not interested. Unless he's on IR, not interested. What I meant was, unless it's a significant injury, it doesn't, okay, he's got a shoulder injury. Maybe he misses week 1. I don't really care. What does that mean for me? As a Jet fan that has faith that everything's going to be okay. Doesn't mean anything. Okay, so that's the difference. That's like, if you are somebody that believes in a higher being and, atheists, and you're like, man, I feel sorry for those atheists. And why do you feel sorry for the atheist? You feel sorry for them because they don't have faith. Because to them, when the lights go out, there's nothing but darkness. But for the ones who have faith that there's something higher power, you feel sorry for the atheist, don't you? Because they have a different way of complaining and just overall, just the way that they go about living their life than people of faith. Okay, so am I trying to convert you to have faith like I do in Joe Douglas? Okay, if you want to go ahead and kind of get that out of this, sure, why not? I hope so. You know why? Because I'm not going to be wrong. That's why. Because I have faith. And here's the reason why. Okay? One of the reasons. Because a few reasons. First, I've been through a lot of these general managers, been through a lot of these head coaches, but especially the way that the owner, general, just everything is put together basically with this organization. I've been through it many times. And I've also been through it with all my other teams as a sports fan. Being a diehard Vancouver Canuck fan for 30 years or so. New Jersey Net fan for all those years. Montreal Expo, Washington National fan for all those years, 30, 40 years, whatever. Jet fan, go to college. I mean, I have been with all these teams for all these years, through all those coaches, through all those general managers, through all those owners, all of it. To know when I got the right guy. Okay, that's why I have faith in Joe Douglas, and why I had faith right off the bat, and why I completely continue to this day to have faith. So when I hear things like Wilson's going to be out a little bit longer than we thought, why should I get concerned over this? For what reason? Does it stunt Zach Wilson's growth for a few weeks? Okay, yes, it does. But if I have faith that the Jets under Joe Douglas are going to be a winning franchise and are going to be competing for Super Bowl soon, why do I care about Zach Wilson missing a few? Because I don't. Do I like it? No. I don't like it. Just like it, most other Jet fans, I do not like it at all. It sucks. Okay, I get that. But that's where it stops. What also infuriates me, let's now hear from what's the biggest whiner of them all. Okay? Greeny the whiner.
What? We're cursed. We just have a cloud that follows Zach earliest. Not even.
We're cursed. We're cursed.
Even that he'll be back week 4. But that what? We're cursed.
We're cursed. How juvenile is that? We're cursed. I'm on ESPN. I've got the audience of thousands of maybe hundreds of viewers, and I'm gonna say we're cursed. Now remember a couple of baseball biggest curses ever: Chicago Cubs, Boston Red. I don't really hear too much about curses in any other sport except baseball. I don't know why, but it was always just the Cubs and the Red Sox had this curse on them. How's that curse thing going on now for the Cubs and Red Sox? Cubs, World Series, but the Red Sox, I mean, ever since they won their World Series title, they've been one of the best teams in baseball. How long's that been going on? 15 years or so? I don't even know how to count on that. I don't even know. It's been long enough. There's your curse. That is just ridiculous. There is no curse. And by the way, how do you think an Atlanta Falcons fan feels, or a Detroit Lions fan? How about a Cleveland Browns fan? How do you think they feel? Even a Cincinnati Bengals fan. The Jets have won a Super Bowl. Yes, I know it even happened when I was like a few months old. But when you take a look at the history of your team, it's kind of hard to have one when you're Cincinnati, Detroit, Cleveland, and so forth, because you don't have anything. You don't have anything to kind of go back. At least Cleveland's got, NFL championships and things like that. But at least the Jets have something, fans have something to be proud about. They've got the Joe Namath, and a lot of people anybody knows the NFL knows Joe Namath, and they know Super Bowl III. It's something to be proud about. So I don't want to hear about this Jet fan. Like, and again, it's because, are there any Detroit Lion announcers out there that you're hearing about? Or, any of those teams that have never won a Super Bowl? How come they're not out there? I never hear about those guys. But it's always like the Rich Eisen, Mike Greenberg, Jet fan guys that want to act like this is the worst franchise in football, and it's just such a sad deal to be rooting for this team. They never win, kind of thing, and it's sad. It really is. And at least when we move over, actually, let's move on.
We just have a cloud that follows Zach earliest. Not even that he'll week 4. So all the Jet fans who are counting on, we'll beat Cleveland because they won't have.
So who's he talking to? This is why I don't get involved a whole lot unless I have to do it for work. I don't get involved with the social media aspect of Jet fans predicting that we're supposed to beat Cleveland because Deshaun Watson isn't there, or even announcers who are paid to predict what the Jets are going to do, say, for the first few weeks of the season, or Jet reporters. Well, they should beat Cleveland because there's no Deshaun Watson. Why should we beat Cleveland? Why should a team that had a top 5 draft pick last year supposed to beat anybody? Seriously. And I don't care what kind of offseason you have. Who thinks like that? You shouldn't think like that. So get that out of your head. All right, any Jet fans out there that want to start counting wins and losses on a schedule, complete waste of time. Especially when you're a team like the Jets. See, if you're like the Buccaneers or the Packers, that's a little bit different story. All right, I can count some wins. I deserve to count some wins. But you're a team that has been in the playoffs in 11, 12 years. You don't count wins on the schedule. That is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard of. The point is why do you bring that up? Why do you bring something like that up? I have no idea. I really don't. It shouldn't be brought up. I don't even want to. You know what? There was something I want to continue with. Let's move on here because he has this.
Deshaun that week and all the rest of that.
I don't know who this guy is.
So, and then Pittsburgh. The earliest he'll be ready.
Well, first and foremost,
if he can't, it's Brandon.
I do the single teardrop.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. If you can, if you're able to, go ahead.
Oh my gosh! First of all, this breaks my heart.
Yes,
this breaks my heart. He's got he wants a single teardrop emoji, and it breaks his heart. Breaks your heart that Zach Wilson's going to be out a month? I mean, dude, just you got a girlfriend, man? You need one. All right, here's Rich Eisen. Now, he was a little bit better, but check this out.
Like, they don't know that Jets fans look for the trap door and get kicked in the nards by the football gods 50-plus years in running.
See? They don't know. Nobody knows unless you're a Jet fan. You just don't know. You don't know what it's like to be us. You don't know. Kicked in the nards for the last 50 years. You don't know. Hey, it's going to be all right. And when it's all right, and when things are going to be really cool to be a Jet fan again, when it's going to be chic to be a Jet fan, and it could be by the end of this year, it's possible. Maybe it's next year. But when it does, and it starts to take off, I'm going to be so embarrassed listening to these guys. Seriously. Because, matter of fact, I hope I won't have to. Because I won't want to do it. Because I'll be like, I don't want to hear, because I remember just even that Buffalo season when if we beat Buffalo, we're in. I was talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick. I know what it was like. And it's like, oh, now everything's okay, huh? Yeah, now is everything okay? Yeah. So now that the team's winning, oh, everything's great now. Now you can start talking about, oh, wow, we'll be a playoff team, and we're going to beat this team, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Where's the faith, brother? I have the faith. You don't have the faith. So I was going to say, Rich Eisen did a good job later in this show talking about the faith. So good for him. But Greenberg is a waste of time in that regard. I would not, no Mike Greenberg. Don't, anybody, I don't know if anybody still watches him, but if you do. Now, let's get into social media. Okay, let's check out if you take a look at Zach Wilson, you hashtag Zach, what are they talking about? Brian Perez. How many, what does he have? He's got 20,000 followers as managing editor of the Bears Talk. All right. I'm going to try to contact Brian, maybe. I'd talk to him. Brian says all the negativity seems like it's focused on Justin Fields. Meanwhile, Zach Wilson may have lost his job to Joe Flacco. Brian. I mentioned this last week a few weeks ago. Zach was injured. How I couldn't find because they took it off YouTube. was going to use it, and then he took it off. But there were analysts on ESPN talking about how the Jets were going to have to draft another quarterback potentially in the top 5 of the draft next year, because with Zach injured, I guess the thought process was that they were going to get off to such a bad start that their record was going to be bad again, and also that this means that Zach Wilson is no good now, and that means that now in the draft next year the Jets are going to have to draft another quarterback. Anybody, and I know they were out there, anybody, whether it was then or whether it's now, that believes the Jets will be drafting another quarterback next year is an absolute maroon. That's the nice way of putting it. My old buddy Bugs, as he would say, just a maroon. Sorry, that's the nicest word I could use. And obviously, that person has no idea what he's talking about, especially because he has no idea who's running this organization. And it's the same kind of people who were saying, well, maybe Joe Douglas is now, they're going to be so bad this year that Joe Douglas is going to need to be replaced. All that because Zach Wilson miss a month. Don't care about the preseason, so yeah, even miss a month in the regular season. All because of that. Got to start looking for a new quarterback, the 2023 draft, and a new general manager. Let's go through more of this. Let's see. Dan Hanzus. Energy around the Jets and Zach Wilson, not good. Okay. Who's Dan Hanzus? Around the NFL podcast. All right, Dan. You got a lot of followers, so you got something going there. But Dan, you know nothing about what's going on around the Jets. Because if you cover the Jets and are around the Jets, you would know that the energy is just fine. If anything, it's pumped. There is no bad juice around the Jets right now. None of it. That is just nonsense. All right, let's see. More Dwayne Brown, a little bit on that. Joe Flacco. What else we got going on here? I'm curious. This is the Giant Insider newspaper and podcast. 37,000 followers. How did Jets coach Robert Saleh go from Zach Wilson possibly playing Sunday to missing a month? Do you watch the press conferences with with Robert Saleh? Because I do. I listen to everything he says. And never once did Robert Saleh say that it was possible that Zach Wilson would not miss a month. And yes, did he say it was possible for him to play on Sunday? Sure, it was. But he never misled anybody. He has continuously said things like talk to the doctors when it comes to that. The only thing Saleh has done, and I'm glad that he's completely changed his focus on these injury things, because we talked about it last year. We ripped him a few times last year if you injury stuff. Because I've been critical of Robert when it came last year to the way that he used to handle some of it. And so far, because he's admitted it, so I'm leaving that stuff to the doctors for now. Like, he realizes after what he said last year that you just can't talk about it like that. You don't know. So don't say anything, because he's such an optimistic dude. He's a positive dude. That's all he's doing. He's trying to stay positive. Because he doesn't know. He has no idea. The doctors aren't telling him anything different. They're saying it's every injuries and every player handles these injuries separately. This is what could happen on a positive side, negative side. So Robert comes out, tries to be positive. But at least this time, he didn't say, yeah, we expect Zach to be back later this week. That's what he did last year. And then all of a sudden, the guy be out for like 6 months. But at least he's not saying that. But no, he's not like that. So far, he hasn't been like that this year. So yeah, he hasn't misled anybody. Mr. Giant Insider Newspaper and Podcast. Let's see what else. Anything else interesting? Other injuries. Let's see. So Jay Gray. All this talk, thankfully, will put to rest once Zach Wilson comes back. He performs well, and everyone will forget about this injury. Let's see the young guy develop. Lots of talent. Okay, good. I like Jay Gray. Nice positive pro Jets tweet. Let's see. This guy's there. I don't think that had anything to do with it. The Zach Wilson injury timetable overreaction is so ridiculous. You all want him to end up like RG3 so bad. Why? Okay. Yeah, sure. See, I agree. It's the overreaction. It is ridiculous. And anything else worth talking about here? Jester got hurt. The Jets are letting him rest. Why is anyone drawing conclusions of any kind? Yes, I like it. I think we can pretty much put an end to all this now. And I know there's a lot of talk about what is this? Okay, I know there's a lot of talk about. Oh, here's one. Tyler. Zach Wilson never gets the Jets starting job back. Oh my. Zach Wilson from Alex Lawson is the second best quarterback on his team. I don't even. There is no comparison because he's a young quarterback and Joe's got more experience. So, yeah. I don't need to go through the whole thing of social media. You know basically what the deal is there. Look, I want to now look. Here's the Jets depth chart. Let's take a look at the Baltimore depth chart because this is important. This little drop down here. Or go direct to the Baltimore depth chart. Two things. All right, you see here, this green thing, the link for Tyler Linderbaum. What does that mean? It means rookie. That's what it means. Rookie. So Baltimore is going to be starting a rookie. And you know who the Jets have in the middle of their defense? Supposedly a guy that wants to prove that he's a superstar, and that's Quentin Williams. So take advantage, my friend. Remember this dude, Morgan Moses? See this guy, Ronnie Stanley? Big reason why Baltimore struggled last season. He is not 100% yet. There's a possibility he plays on Sunday. Absolutely. Absolutely is a possibility. But if he does not, you realize Juwan James is a long-time NFL right tackle? He hasn't even played in a couple of years because of injuries and all sorts of other stuff. So would that mean that Daniel, I don't want to butcher his name, Falele, who's a rookie, big dude, but does it mean that he starts over at left tackle? Okay, and J.K. Dobbins, I'm not even sure J.K. is going to play. All right, so Mike Davis plays. Journeyman running back plays. Justice Hills, come on. If the Jets give up an inordinate amount of rushing yards, they give up a lot, too many. To Justice Hill, Mike Davis, Kenny Drake, can be a long season anyway. Okay. Marcus Peters, by the way, he's not healthy. Not sure if he's going to play yet. You see the green links here in the secondary? Those are 3 rookies. Okay. So this is a non-playoff team. I want to remind everybody. Good football team. Very well coached. Very talented quarterback who is still kind of worrying about his contract. Keep that in mind. So I'm not going to sit here and panic of having to go out there and play Joe Flacco. Ravens. I know they're playing the AFC North for the first month. But yeah, look, we said this even on the last show. The reason Joe Flacco is here is for this exact scenario. Fortunately, it had to be the beginning of the season. And that is, you come in for, it could be needed for up to maybe 4 games a season. You never want to see your backup quarterback more than. That's the case. You're probably going to have an issue making the post. So if Joe Flacco plays no more than 4 games, maybe it's the first 3 or 4 to begin the season, what I would expect is, let's say it's 4. I honestly expect this team to be 2-2 outside of the first 4. All right, because the two teams that are the better teams, Cincinnati and Baltimore. Here's Baltimore, and look, it's week 1, man. Teams are not anywhere near as good in week 1 as they are in the midseason. I've said this many years on many other shows. I can chronicle back. I always do it. I always look back at that Super Bowl winning season for the New England Patriots when they went to Buffalo, and I believe it was Bledsoe's first game against his former team, but it was like a 30-0 just wipe out, and New England won the Super Bowl that year. So I always bring that up, but all it means is you get too overexcited or dejected over a week 1 game. Teams aren't anywhere near the level of where they'll be week 4, week 8, and so forth. Okay, so the better team in this situation, but what I also mean by that is usually the underdogs get a shot. They have a better look. Just what happened to Rutgers against Boston College football fans on Saturday? They were a 7-point dog. Same kind of situation. What happens? Maybe you took advantage of the fact that Boston College isn't as good now as they will be when the season goes on, and they took advantage. Same thing with Rutgers did a few years ago at Michigan State. You can take advantage early in the season. Remember Carolina last year started the season 3-0. Remember that. Remember that, because if you were a viewer on this show, I remember Ryan Dunleavy asking me that question. I think it was right around 2-0, 3-0 on the air. What do you think about right now Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson, the decision to move on from Darnold and to draft Zach Wilson? Carolina, Jets, Zach Wilson, the way they looked for 3 games. And what do I think? 100% I said Zach Wilson. Do not believe in what's going on in Carolina with Darnold there. I'm never going to believe in Sam Darnold at this point. Just, no. Totally Zach Wilson. I'm all in. Again, I have faith. It's only been a few games. Not concerned over it. Sure enough, even though one win was against the Jets, sure enough, you know what happens the rest of the season for Carolina and Sam Darnold. Okay. I also want to reference that because some people who aren't avid viewers, I want to bring this up too. This took place on our show before our preseason preview show. This was our cut down day preview. And after we were done with everything, Jan and I were talking about when cut down day was and what would normally happen after that. Because once you come up with your initial 53 man, then you decide, okay, what happens, who gets signed from your cut list, and go out and sign other guys and the practice squad and so forth. So this is what I said. Let's play this. So the final roster, which by the way will be set on the 30th. That's Tuesday.
Yep.
But then a couple days after that, you still have to wait for potential pickups and things like that. Even though I can't imagine with how hard it is for the Jets to maintain their own guys, I can't imagine they're going to be picking up many players.
Unless.
All right. Now, how many people thought that? Not many. A lot of people thought, I was reading same thing, going through when I was watching press conferences on YouTube or wherever I was, and I would scroll down and read some of the comments. And hey, Jets are a good spot. Don't forget also, we're gonna pick up at least 1 or 2 other players and things of that. And a lot of people where the Jets were slotted in the waiver wire, and they're not a very good team. But they're gonna at least go out and get somebody, one player or 2. And what did we say? No. Why did we say no? Because look at the roster. look at what happened when those players were getting all plucked up after we cut them. We had such good talent on the team. It would have been a crime for Joe Douglas to pick somebody up after he just dropped 5 guys or 7 guys that were picked up by other teams. That wouldn't have made any sense. Okay? So I'm just bringing this up because I think it's important for anybody that hasn't been with us for a long time that I know what I'm talking about. Not right all the time. Completely understand that. But just like a handicapper. And more so, professional handicappers like Mark Lawrence, by the way, pick up Mark Lawrence's playbook. You have to do it right here, playbooksports.com. It's not too late. I know the season begins tonight with the Buffalo Bill game, but pick this up, man. If you gamble, do anything related to gambling, this is it. NFL, college football, all in here, every team. Get all sorts of trends. I'll have a trend I'm going to share from this magazine in a little bit. But guys like Mark Lawrence, if they can go around, I think it's about between 60 and 65%, they are awesome. It's a fallacy when you see these promos about, hey man, I was 90% in the NFL last year. Hey, I'm 14-2. For this week 17 coming up, I'm 14-2. Best bets. All that stuff is nonsense. You know how many handicappers, a very select couple that can do anything more than 65%? And that's usually just a very good season. Wow, I had a great season. Best season ever. Okay? The point is that I'm making there that, yeah. All right. Now, I'm a little bit different. I would definitely say I'm more than what a handicapper needs. But I'm putting myself at about 85%. Pretty good there. And I'm not saying predicting games. I'm just saying talking about this kind of stuff. What did I, because I'll always look back and say, man, you know what? I shouldn't have, that was not good. After the result, maybe there was a player that I had a little bit more faith in. Hey, you know what? I kind of feel that they're going to do this because of this player, and they do the exact opposite. But the idea is, especially when you're following a specific team for as long as I have, is you have to dive all in 100% on getting to know what makes these guys tick. Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh. What is it? That's why I was saying before about the way Robert Saleh has completely changed his idea of speaking to the media regarding injuries. This is very important. These things are very important. I can go back and even talk about things. Jan brings up all the time, he'll say, and I've kind of pushed it off. I don't want to get into those debates anymore about bad mistake for the Jets to let Jason Myers go all those years ago. He still believes that. I don't. Okay, and I don't think I'm right or he's right, so that's why I don't think it's a debate to talk about. Same thing with Jamal Adams, the Jamal Adams situation, DeMarcus May situation, the Robbie Anderson. See, the Robbie Anderson situation. And even Joe Douglas. See, I don't even believe Joe Douglas believed what he was saying. I think it was all smoke and mirrors. He's playing the part, Joe. Just like Joe was playing the part, like when he says things about Sam Darnold before he let him go. Great guy, talented player. He's going to be a good player. That's just all. First of all, I'm sure he likes the kid a lot because you're around him personally. But the rest of the stuff, he knows whether he's a good quarterback. And if he thought he was a really good quarterback, he would not trade him. He would not have drafted Zach Wilson. So how does he look right now? Well, you can go, well, Zach hasn't done anything yet. But you think Sam is? But at least Zach has a potential future. So he did the right thing by making the move, and he got a draft pick out of it, a high draft pick out of it. He stole the draft pick. Maybe part of the reason because he talked up Sam Darnold too. What a great player he really could be. And what a great guy and all that kind of stuff. Oh, that's when I wish I had back the Robbie Anderson thing. Oh, you see? He even admitted he was wrong about letting Robbie Anderson go. I don't believe it. I don't believe any of that from Joe. I mean, of course, why not say it like that? But he knows. And then take a look at this last year and a half out of Robbie. Maybe Robbie will break out with Baker Mayfield. Who knows? But everything that you've heard and seen from the Robbie Anderson escapades lately, would you want to pay that guy what he wanted? Because keep in mind, if Robbie Anderson is still here with the Jets, I draft Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore. Who do you want? Robbie Anderson or Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore? So you see what I'm saying? I don't believe that either. So my point there is, yeah, it's you gotta try and understand these guys and where they're coming from and what they're saying and what they think that you want to hear and all that stuff. And I don't know that's the case on 31 other teams in the NFL. I can't do that. Same thing with all those, but I'm going to be really confident. It's like Clint Eastwood said in Unforgiven. Did he say it in Unforgiven? Man's got to know his limitations. And I've always remembered that. Man's got to know his limitations. I have always been able to kind of go by that mantra. What it basically means is don't get into a debate, a serious debate in my profession. Don't get in a serious debate with someone unless you really know you're right. So that's why a lot of times I'll get in debates, especially on these shows. And I get some people going, man, you think you know everything. You know what? And then when I'm wrong about it, you see you're wrong. Yeah, but the reason is because I don't pick fights, things I don't know. And there are way too many people on the air in my profession that do pick fights that don't know their limitations. And they want to pick fights about everything. And they want to put their opinion out there about everything. Well, I don't do that. I pick my opinions to make sure that if I say something, I feel like I know I'm right. And if I'm wrong, all right, well, that's at 1 out of 10 times I'm wrong. But that's why I am real confident about covering this team, because it's the only team I have. It's the only favorite NFL team I have. It's the only one. I mean, remembering days as far as I can go back of driving in your car and listening to the AM radio and listening. I don't even remember who was covering the Jet games at those times. And I would just got those memories planted in your head about having to listen to a football game on the radio. Same thing about going to Shea Stadium and watching the Jets play. Or the old Giant Stadium and watching the Jets play. Man, those things never leave. And these are the memory. And so it's like, so for this team, yeah, you know what? If you're going to have a debate with me on the New York Jets, man, if you're 10, 15, 20 years younger than me, I'm sorry, but there's not going to be much that you're going to be able to say to me that I don't already know. And you're not going to be able to, frankly, win many debates with me either. Now, there might be a whole lot of things that I don't think are winnable, like I just said before with the Myers thing. And by the way, there are a lot of guys that are doing some really good stuff on YouTube, covering the Jets or covering NFL. So I love everything that goes on YouTube myself. I know that you're still like anything else on networks, radio, you call it, you're going to have the good and you're going to have the bad. And the good usually, unfortunately, is outweighed by the bad. There's usually, it's every good quality channel, say covering the Jets full time, you're going to have, like 6 or 7 ones that they don't know really what they're talking about. So you got to get through that. But the fact is that I'm not trying to bash guys who cover the Jets or Jet fans in general. There are good ones out there, and you just got to find them. I don't do it full time like they do. I don't have a Jet channel, so that's why it's completely different. I wish I did, but I don't. Maybe that's something I'll work on in the next year or two, because we're just kind of getting started with this channel in general. It's just a lot easier if you're a Jet channel and all you're doing is sending out algorithms out there for the Jets, so you can attract Jet audience a lot easier. So I can't really do that. My goal though is definitely to include a lot more content for the Jets, things like this, hopefully a lot shorter, but things like this. And I will keep them shorter because this is the first one we're doing for the season where I'm on my own. And that's why I'm throwing a whole lot of historical crap out there. So I'm not gonna keep doing that the whole time. Be a lot more to the point, things of that nature. Sure. I don't want to have to, but if I have to bring these kind of bozos, especially Greenberg, and they say something, not just him, but there are a lot of others out there for me to pick and choose from. I will. Um, but that's not the main thing. Main thing is that if you check our channel out, especially for any time you see us, subscribe to our channel and you see that we're talking about something that has to do with Jets, I promise you that you are not going to find anybody on YouTube or anywhere that knows more about this team than I do. Now, I'm not talking about somebody that is a beat guy and that is there day in and day out at practice. Well, those guys, they better know more than me. There's also a difference between, because I'll tell you right now, I know there's a lot of guys that are beat writers that are around the team and around everything, the coaches and yet I see what they write about their team. Okay, covering them. That doesn't mean that they know what they're talking about. It should, but just like I said, for every 6, 7, or 8 that don't, you got to find the right guy that does. I mean, I'm not saying this guy does or doesn't, and I'm not even going to use his name, but there was somebody who wrote something in the, I believe it was the Post, about, and this will come up every once in a while too, kind of silly things like this, where they were trying to preach to Robert Saleh, you better take care of Zach Wilson and not rush him back. Don't do this, because if you do this and you rush him back, my reaction to that is, you're a writer. If Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh need advice from you, they aren't the right guys for the job. And I don't know. Maybe it's one of those articles you have to write. I don't know what it's like to be a writer and you have to come up with stories and clicks and things. What do you got to get for the headline? I don't know what it's like. But when I read stuff like that, it's like, dude, I mean, you don't think they know that? Think that, oh, glad he brought that up because maybe they're right. I don't think we should rush this guy. And you know what? It's because of what he wrote. That's the reason why we're, you know what? Let's not play Zach until Pittsburgh next. There are a lot of maroon head coaches and general managers out there. Don't get me wrong. But this isn't the right GM and head coach to be saying that to, in my mind. Maybe in his mind he is, or they are, because he don't have faith like I do. And I don't expect a beat writer to have faith in a general manager or head coach anyway. Maybe they do, but again, who knows? All I know is I do. I have complete faith. This was the beginning of our conversation. 100% faith in Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh. And I'm going to be here all season long, every week, to talk about that. And we'll be doing post-game shows, as I mentioned, with Jan. And they're going to be a lot of fun. The main thing, okay, if you are a viewer of this show, and whether or not I've got 20 diehard viewers or 200 a week, I'm still going to be here, and you guys are going to hang out with us this year, next year, and the year after that. You're gonna be like the chosen ones, that not for me, but for Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh and New York Jets. You're gonna be the ones that I'm with you. I feel like you do, and I'm there for the ride. And I will continue to listen and read and watch other Jet coverage. But this is the one I'll always go back to because I know what he knows. I believe what he believes. I have faith like he does. And it's going to be awesome because we are going to be the very select few ones that when the time comes, you know how they say, if you're looking at religion and you're preaching about Judgment Day. Judgment Day. I know where I'm going to be Judgment Day. I know what part of the line I'm going to be on Judgment Day. Where are you going to be? So when the Jets and this regime, and they go on, they start winning, and they do win a Super Bowl championship, Judgment Day, who's going to be there? We are. not Greenberg, and not any of the other whiners. I'm a Jet fan. Fine, you're a Jet fan, but you're one with no face. So you sit back over there. You can get in, but you're in the back. Here's a trend for the game. I'm going to leave with the trend of the Baltimore game right out of here. Baltimore 1-4 against the spread as a road favorite last year. Jets 1-1 straight up, 2-0 against the spread. Their last two was a home dog this year. Keeping in mind that loss was Tampa Bay. I bring that up because remember, Baltimore had their share of problems last year because of the same injury situations that they're coming back with this year. Again, we don't know if Ronnie Stanley's going to play, and we don't know if J.K. Dobbins is going to play. And you know what? If they do play, how do we know they're going to be 100%? They haven't been practicing with these guys very long. Been injured most of the time. So they're not going to be 100%. And even if they're 100% healthy, it's going to take them time to be the players that they were. Natural. Oh, I wanted to bring this up on the other show, and I'm glad I remember this. Carl Lawson. Now, if anybody's thinking, and I will bring this up on one of the shows with Jan. I just happen to remember this now. People talk about, Carl's going to need another year before he can become a really good player again. He's got that injury, and everybody knows if you have that injury that you're going to need another year to be the man that you were. Well, I remember not so long ago, last year, or I should say 2 years ago, when a player by the name of Bosa, 49ers, remember that? Jet, first week, injured, out for the year. Comes back last year. Same injury as Lawson. I believe it was the same injury. Either way, year-long injury. Everybody's saying, you know what, it's going to take him time. Monster season. Monster season. I don't want to hear that Carl Lawson needs another year. All I want to see out of Carl Lawson is for him to play a lot of games, a lot of snaps. That's all I want to see from Carl. He'll produce. I know he will. And if he's healthy and everybody else is healthy, they're all going to produce. Okay, so yeah, do we have Joe Flacco on Sunday? Yes. But we don't have some... What's better? Joe Flacco with all his experience, or let's just say we had some random backup quarterback. I don't even know. We could actually go... You know how many bad backup quarterbacks there are in the NFL? I mean, would you rather have Blaine Gabbert, Tampa Bay, as your quarterback? Who's the Giant? Oh, Tyrod Taylor. Would you rather have him? Who's New England have as the backup quarterback? The Jones. I mean, seriously, there are some really, Chargers. There's some, I can go on and on and on. So Joe Flacco is not a bad backup quarterback. And remember, what he did last year running the system. I truly believe that Joe Flacco, and I don't know whether or not he's going to have a good week on Monday. It might, if he plays 4 games, just like a lot of these other guys I'm talking about, he might need a couple of weeks to kind of recharge his own, especially if he's older. But mid-season last season, when he was called in late in the season to play, he showed that he could still play in this league. And I believe that this system is perfect for him. And I think if it wasn't for the system, I'm not even sure Joe Flacco would be in the NFL anymore. Well, maybe he would, but maybe he wouldn't, because he says as long as he enjoys it and so forth. I'm not sure if he'd enjoy it if he was on another system, because he hasn't really. I think he just looks good in this system, which is what you need to do if you're a specific player. You got to find the right system that works for you. I was talking to the Cleveland Browns, Fred Greetham, about Joshua Dobbs and what a different guy he looks like. Remember, he was with the Steelers for all those years. Now he's with the Browns. Different system, completely different kind of way that he's being used. All of a sudden, he looks like he's a golden child in the preseason. Yes, it's the preseason, but the point is, you got to find the right system. And even though Joe's only got a few years left, I think this is the perfect system for him. What does that mean? I don't know. But I would be shocked if we see the Joe Flacco that we saw a couple of years ago. That Joe Flacco. I remember that Miami game. Joe came in, and it was just embarrassingly. The one he came in for Sam Darnold, I think it was 2 years ago, right? So I think the system's good for him. And I just think that with the defense the Jets have, you're gonna have Sauce Gardner is gonna be on Bateman. I would think that's the matchup you want to be on because he's the one guy in that as far as the Ravens, he's that one guy that really scares you. At wide receiver, you got Duvernay and Prochet. Those guys don't scare you. You know, I mean, if those guys beat our guys, then I don't know. That's not going to be good for us the rest of the season. So I think if Bateman can be taken away from Gardner, you're going to have Mike Davis potentially running the ball and getting the most snaps. Now, will Lamar Jackson run around and get first downs and do all sorts of crazy stuff? Yeah, that's what makes him such a great player. And maybe Lamar Jackson will need to do that for the Ravens to win. Maybe Joe Flacco will need to throw a couple of interceptions for. But this is not a game where I go in and I'm like, oh, this isn't the old Ravens. I didn't even pick the Ravens to make the playoffs when we did our show, by the way, which is available on the channel. I'm not saying they're going to have a bad year, but I just think there's too much competition in the AFC, and I did not think that. I don't know. I just don't have a good vibe about Baltimore right now. I think they're kind of with Lamar. They first things first. They got to get those guys healthy. They're not the same team without Dobbins being healthy and Stanley. They're just not. And then Cleveland is going to be tough because they have a really good running game still. They have a big question mark at center. There's no doubt about that. So they got to, that's something that's going to be a concern. But they have a really good defense. And yeah, do they not have a really good quarterback? But we're going to have Joe Flacco too. So it's going to be Flacco. So we're not going to be a favorite in that game. But that's a game. Yeah, it's a game that we can win. And the Bengals are going to want revenge after what we did to them last year. We have them at home, which is, I guess, nice, but they're not going to take us lightly this time. And then the Steelers, well, come on. I mean, if we're going to be as a competitive potential playoff team, why do we think we can't win with Joe Flacco quarterback against the Pittsburgh Steelers when they're going to have right now a guy that is potentially a journeyman? An early stage journeyman. So there's still a lot of possibilities out there. That's why I'm not going to sit here and predict wins and losses and any of that stuff. It just, as I said, think it's ridiculous. All I know is that from what I've heard about this team, they are a very close football team. I think you know that as a fan. And that closeness does not go away when a quarterback gets hurt for a few games. That is complete nonsense. And I'm sure they have a lot of faith in Joe. You got to remember that there's a lot of kids that probably don't even remember Joe Flacco winning, but they know that he has. And if not, they'll be reminded of it at some point to know exactly what they got there. So there's gonna be a lot of respect there. And hey, you know what? He's old, so he's one injury away. We got Mike White out there again, which again, I'm all right. I don't want to see Mike White, Joe Flacco go down and Strevler to come in. I'm sure that a lot of Jet fans would like that. I'm not one of them. I think it's great for him that he's on the practice squad, and I think it's great for team morale, and that's a cool little story. And he's not the worst number 4 quarterback in the NFL, but that's not what we want. But again, it doesn't matter because you just got to have faith anyway. And if that's what is in store for us is Chris Strevler being our quarterback in a few weeks, then that's what it is. Let's just try to enjoy the ride as best we can. And look, there's no doubt, man. I want to win so bad. That is the other thing. I am so tuned up as a fan with this team. Same thing with my other team. Some of my other teams, not all of them, but some of them, where it really does. It's like I get kind of hurt when the team loses so bad that I can't watch it. And the only reason I have to watch it sometimes, most of the time, because I have a job to do. I have to report this stuff. Otherwise, if I'm a fan, I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of football over the last few years that I would not have watched. I just would not have put myself through it. And it's not because, oh yeah, it's ugly and they stink and I'm not going to root for them until they win. No, it's that I can't. It's like watching a family member get beat up. I just can't watch it, and nothing you can do about it. that's how much it hurts. But that's also how much it's going to be so awesome when they turn this thing around. And I'm telling you, when it's turned around, it is going to be like that. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be 1 week, but you know how it is. Living life, things happen so quickly. A few weeks go by like that. That's what I mean. Whether it's this year or next year, it will happen. This year or next year. It's going to be a time. Go like that. What I mean by that is, all of a sudden, all those feelings about being a losing team and not in the playoffs and woe is me and what did he say? He said, "Did I write it down? Did I write down what he said? I don't think I did. Did I? Jinx? No, not Jinx. What was it? Boston Red Sox and the Cubs and cursed, and all that stuff and a single tear and heart is broken. All of that is gonna go away like that, and you're not even gonna know what that felt anymore. You will a little bit. You kind of remember that, but it's gonna go by so quick that all of a sudden you're gonna be watching the team play, and you're going to have this confidence that you should win this game. Not this, I'm going to check mark the Browns because they don't have the quarterback. Not that kind of confidence, ridiculousness, but just a confidence that when you turn on the game to watch them, you're not going to have those feelings. And I'm talking about the realistic dudes, the guys who really know what's going on, not the fools. You're going to have that confidence, and it's just going to come naturally. And you don't know when or where it happened. Okay, and it may take a 2-game win streak. It might 3 out of 4. Could even just be 1 game. And then all of a sudden, you're going to start watching the game. And you're going to be like, this is awesome. We're good, aren't we? This is going to work. Oh, this is going to be great. And media is going to just pile on because that's what the media does. I don't know when that's going to be after because we're going to feel it first. Because if they win a game, you know how it is. You win a game early on in the season, and they'll jump on you, and you lose a game, they jump against you. I'm not talking about that nonsense. It will be, but when it happens, he is going to all of a sudden start respecting. You'll know when they start respecting you, but you'll have already known it for like a week or two. Be like, yeah, man, that's it. So, faith, my fellow Jet fans, because it's going to come. How it's going to come, I don't know what week it's going to come this year or next, but it's going to, and it's going to happen. And it's going to happen. The only way it doesn't happen with this quarterback is if this quarterback ends up with some sort of marred injury career. But that is it. The only thing that's going to hold him back from being a top 10 NFL quarterback. I have no idea how, can he be top 5? I don't know. But I know he could be top 10. Got to stay healthy. That's the first thing. But whatever happens there, got the right pieces in place, the right general manager, and he will figure it out. He will have time to figure it out. He's not going anywhere. Okay? And neither is Robert Saleh. These guys are going to be the guys. 2 years, could be 4 years, 5 years, whatever. But you're going to see it. You're going to see Trophy, Douglas, Saleh, Johnson. That's the regime that is going to bring back championships for the New York Jets again. Bank it. When? I don't know. It'll happen with. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Oh, and we're going to be talking tomorrow on Friday. So this is a Thursday show. We're going to post. Mark and I usually do the weekly picks on Thursday, but Mark out of town until late today. So we're going to do it tomorrow. So we're going to do our college football and NFL picks show tomorrow, usually on Thursday. So check that out. We're going to go all over all sorts of trends and picks and stuff like that. Probably won't do the Jets, but we're going to do a whole lot of other stuff that's coming up on tomorrow's show. and everything else that we do here as far as our programming for the week in pro and college football. Of course, that includes we're going to have more interviews every week, college analysts and NFL analysts and so forth. That's not going to stop. And everything else that we're going to do outside of the NFL. And that includes, of course, if you're a NASCAR fan, not sure if you are, but if you are a NASCAR fan, we have our NASCAR shows through the playoffs. If you're a golf fan, we'll be back with Jared Smola in January to talk golf. By the way, Jared and I and Matt Schaff are going to start our weekly fantasy football shows next week, next Thursday. That's going to air every Thursday. So that's going to be, so if you're somebody that's into fantasy football, we're going to let you know what's going on. When you're in season, it's all about the waiver wire. And potential trades, and we'll ask you have questions, we'll answer it. Should you make this trade, that trade, the other thing? So Jared and Matt are as good as it gets in the fantasy football world. So you can check, of course, Draft Sharks. That's what you want to go to, Draft Sharks. We have that section on our fantasy section at RLEDs.com. You get a free trial period. Then it's like very inexpensive for the monthly subscription. I know most of the drafts have already been done. I get that, but we have been pumping this up for the past few weeks. And just like the Jets, this isn't something that we're not trying to win a Super Bowl as a partnership this season. The beginning of it. So next year, we're going to get even better, even more coverage in fantasy football. So we're growing there. Again, we're going to be talking fantasy football on a weekly basis starting next week, next Thursday, and every Thursday with those guys. And horse racing. Yes, horse racing with Chad and with John. So that continues. The Breeders' Cup is going to be in only 2 months away. So we got a lot to talk about there. It's a fantastic thoroughbred season. A lot of great storylines there. So we'll be talking thoroughbred action as well. And hockey. I don't want to forget hockey. If you're a Ranger fan, Jan Levine is going to begin a weekly Rangers show very soon. So we've already talked about it. Talked about it for the last few years because we haven't talked hockey with Jan for a few years. And that, COVID had a lot to do with it, the pandemic. But we are going to get right into what's going on with the New York Rangers all season long this season. We just haven't figured out a date yet because it starts next month. But that's going to be on the air every week, a New York Ranger report with Jan Levine. I'm a Vancouver fan, so I'm not sure anybody cares about my opinion on the Canucks. So I'm going to leave everything to Jan and the New York Rangers, starting up with more hockey talk this year. And I think that's it. Just as we run through everything going on the channel here, at least for the next short while. So thanks for tuning in. I know this was a long one, a very long one. They're not going to be this long, I promise you. I said the same thing on the Rutgers show because these are the first shows. The first shows are always the longest. But I'm going to throw in as many, even 5-minute, 10-minute, 2-minute. I mean, I'm just going to throw in as much analysis and insight and commentary as I can throughout the season. The more, the better. And we hope that you will be with us for the long haul. So subscribe to the channel and please share and like. The shares are awesome. It really helps us out here as well because the more we build a base here on this channel, the more we can do. That means better coverage, especially on-site better coverage. All sorts, and I can start paying this guy to do this and that guy to do that, this guy to help produce all sorts of really cool elements that we can throw into the just overall production of the show. So there's a lot that we can do if we have the right fan base and viewership behind us. And we certainly hope that you're going to be a part of that because if you're still watching this show, there's a select few out there that are. More power to you. We'll see you again for the Jets post-game show, either Sunday or Monday. I would bet on Sunday. And go Jets.